everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged.
Hey, you guys. This is going to be interesting. I don't really know what to think about the little bit of information that I've read so far. And I haven't skimmed all the pages that we do have access to right now. I'm going to do that while we're live. But what I have read so far is wild. Now I'm going to show you where it's coming from, but I cannot show it on the screen the entire time because book stuff works a lot differently than like doing commentary or reaction videos to stuff on YouTube works. You have to be really careful. That's why when we were going over the Patterson book, I never read the whole thing to you. We didn't do like read-alongs. I went through, read it ahead of time, highlighted stuff, and then we did highlights. And we still didn't finish that book because we realized real quick that it was bullshit. And then a lot of stuff started happening. Information started coming out and the book was put off to the side. Eventually we'll finish it because it deserves to be talked all of the shit about. So that will happen very soon. I don't know what to think. So I'll start off with this, I guess. I saw someone this morning on TikTok. It was either late last night or this morning because I was up late last night. So either late last night or this morning. Someone had posted something on TikTok about there being hair in Ethan's hand and it coming from this book. And I'm thinking like, where is that? Because when we purchased the book, there wasn't any preview in way of like a whole bunch of pages that you could read. I also never got like a notification or anything like that there was a preview of anything. Okay. So then when I saw that, I was like, how would this guy know that? Like, how would he know that Ethan had some freaking hair in his hands? Like, if that's the kind of shit that he's going to be putting in this book, then I have like low hopes. Like, what the hell is happening? Hold on. I let it go because I was just going to wait and see what happens, see how his interviews were. And we were just going to wait because I didn't know where that information was coming from, but that was like my initial reaction. So then Crazy Cutie emails me and she's like, oh my God, have you seen this? I said, yeah, but I don't really know like where the original's coming from. I don't know what to think of it. I don't know the origin. Where do you know where it's coming from? She said, Christie's Chaos posted that there was some sort of like little preview. So I ran over to Christie's Chaos channel and sure enough, she has a little short and there's a couple of pages that she posted on there. And I'm like, holy shit, what is this? Like they have some information in here. And I'm like, well, okay. Still, how would this guy know this information? How would this guy know this information? Okay. So then I'm looking around, Crazy Cutie's looking around. She sends me some information about where it is, where there's a preview, but it's like a spoken preview. She's mad I have the door shut, so she'll stop in a second. I listened to the preview, I recorded it, but it's not saying anything like there being hair in Ethan's hand. Like none of that's in there. So then I go to Amazon on this computer because I'm not logged into any of my stuff like that on my YouTube computer. So I'm not logged in and it shows me there's a preview for the book that my app and my laptop is not showing me for some reason, which is the accounts that I purchased the damn thing on. If you are not logged in, I guess, it shows you this. This is like a 30-something page like preview. So this is where the majority of, if not, I mean, this is where the information is coming from. Okay. So I can't have this on the screen as I'm telling you stuff. Like I'm going to show you like a couple of the pages and I'll pop up on the screen when there's something that I'm going to say to you, but I can't just like have it showing. I can't read it to you, all the things. He says in here that he has seen everything from the autopsy photos to the contents of Kohberger's phone. That buddies of his that worked in the FBI or work with the FBI that worked on this case sent him these files. And that he's seen everything from the autopsy photos to the contents of Kohberger's phone. It's kind of hard to sit here and say that this guy is full of shit about there being a clump of hair in Ethan's hand and some other choice things that he is choosing to share in this preview, when he's coming out and saying that, knowing how much trouble he can be in for lying about claiming that he has seen these things. Something else that he mentions before I start looking through the pages, just because this is also on the top of my head, is that Kaylee apparently was twice after she died. It's described as ear to ear postmortem. Something else actually that he mentions that I'm glad that he's mentioning, if it is actually true that he has seen things that we haven't seen, meaning he would have seen things beyond the forensic reports. There's no traces of Maddie and Kaylee like in Xana's room anywhere. Like not on the bed where Ethan was or anything like that. And for like the state to want to believe that Kohberger was attacking Xana and then like stopped for a minute and went and handled up on Ethan and then went back and whatever the frick they're trying to say, which makes no damn sense. Why would there be no blood on him? Or just the person in general, the freaking people in general responsible for this. Like there would be blood transfer. Like the bed, the covers where the fight would have happened. Like there would have been Maddie and Kaylee's presence in that room if it would have gone down even remotely the way that they have their non-working narrative trying to claim that it did. And I guess that like we kind of knew that based off of the things that have come out, but it really didn't hit me until I read the way that he worded it in this. Now, I know that Brady is apparently talking to this guy on the 29th, I believe it is, which is the day that the book is, I think, coming out. But I'm also going to let you know that Custody Queens is actually talking to him before that. I believe that they are either talking to him from the way that their context is on their TikTok, either talking to him today or tomorrow. It sounds like maybe definitely before the 28th, because they're going to premiere it on the 28th. I'm actually meeting up with them virtually on the 24th, on Friday the 24th, so that we can do like a little conversation thing. I don't know when they're going to post it to the channel or whatever, but they are talking to the author and posting it to their channel on the 28th. So I'll put a link for their channel in the chat here while I'm letting this play, because this is her announcement that that's what's happening. Let me know if you guys can hear this, because I'm pretty sure that I clicked the audio.
You guys, I am so excited to announce that Custody Queens and Ron, we were able to get an interview with Christopher Whitcomb, the author of Broken Plea, and we're going to premiere it on our YouTube channel on April 28th. We were able to get an interview, and we get to listen to his story, his analysis of why it was a broken plea, and I could not be more excited. Make sure you are pre-ordering that book on Amazon so that you can get it the day that it's available. And I am just so excited to listen to his analysis and go through the evidence as he saw it and kind of fill in a lot of the gaps that we've all had for 3 years. But stay tuned. We're going to drop more information as it gets closer about all of the details, but I just couldn't wait to share the information. I'm super excited. The more people that we can get this in front of, the better. And remember, we're all better together.
Yeah, so Birdie is going to be talking to him, I think, on the 29th, and theirs is going to be coming out the day before. I'm going to listen to all of it. I'm going to even, look, let me also just pause for just a second. Okay, so I went to Birdie's channel today to go and try to listen to that expert that you guys wanted me to go and listen to. Why is he sitting there with a Dexter shirt on? Like, I'm sorry, but knowing that the Goncalveses got to him and then he's sitting there with like a Dexter shirt on, I couldn't listen to him. So if he went anywhere else to talk about the case, please let me know. If he's not in a Dexter shirt, looking like a mess, so I can take him seriously, please let me know. Then I'll maybe listen. But I'm sorry. I went over there and I instantly stopped. I even took a screenshot because I was going to post something in the community tab like, how dare y'all? How dare y'all send me over here? This guy looking like this. It just, I just couldn't do it. Okay. I might change my mind later. Who knows? But for today, it just wasn't going to happen. It just wasn't going to happen. Okay. This is on Amazon. As you can see, I don't live in no freaking Long Beach. I don't live there. I'm not logged in. And it's showing me that it has this little read sample. Okay. I'm going to just switch through a couple pages to show you what it's looking like. And then I'm going to take it off the screen and I'm going to just like sort of go through stuff and stop when it says certain things that I want to tell you. Because I can't just like have it up on here. We just can't do that. Now, for example, chapter 1 is interesting because I don't know why an unaliving is being mentioned in here. It does show a couple of pages of chapter 1, but it stops after a few pages of chapter 1. It's the prologue that gives you the most information, but it's the real word for unaliving, self-deletion, French fries, silver sedan. That's part 1. And there's 3 parts to the whole thing. So depending on how it's laid out, I don't know if we're going to go through it in like parts in Alive or if we do it in separate chapters. If the information that's going to be in here is as insane, probably should go ahead and stop sharing, If it's as insane, he wasn't. Okay, well, I only saw the one, so maybe I will check for the other one. Because as soon as I saw that Dexter shirt, I was like, oh no. I can't do this. I can't do this. What was I saying? Yeah, I don't know if we're going to do it in sections or in chapters. But if anything, this is definitely like a prelude to a lot of information, I feel. I don't have a reason to believe that this guy would put his entire reputation on the line for the actual career that he has had in life, the way that Cyree, okay, think of it the same way Cyree would, and say that he has seen all these things if it's not true. Like you're really like risking to just like tarnish yourself for the rest of your existence to come out here and act like that. So I don't have a reason to think that that's the case here. I don't. Now, what's interesting is how and if the courts are going to react at all to anything. Because if this guy is serious about seeing the autopsy photos, then he's probably seen the crime scene photos and all the stuff and all the things that we haven't seen and things that the court probably would have never released to the public anyway through court filings, because that's more like stuff that would have happened at trial. There's just a lot. There's a lot here. Now I will say, is there another thing real quick? Hold on. What was the other one I heard? I'll find it later and post it, but there was another page where there's like a spoken review that you can go to and listen to. So then he has a page that has everyone's names that he considers key individuals. And of course, there's Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan. Then they have Dylan and Bethany. And I actually really appreciate, actually, no, I don't kind of like how he calls them survivors in here, because to me, and I mean, a lot of people, that's not really how we feel about it, because we don't believe in the situation the way that it went down. So it's hard to like be okay with them being labeled that way. But I guess in order to not really piss people off, he probably played it that way at maybe the request of his publisher. Because I feel like maybe if you try to argue that straight up in a book where you also were trying to say that there's a problem, it maybe isn't the best look for somebody with a reputation like that. You know what I mean? Like you have to think about it in all different angles here. I'm trying to think about it in all different angles here. So then he has, of course, Kohberger's in there as the convicted. And I cannot show you like every little thing. So I'm just going to tell you stuff. I don't want to like get in trouble. Every single page has the fact that it's copyrighted material on the top and the bottom. And I'm not trying to lose my channel. People have tried and failed, and we're not about to lose it over a preview. That's for sure. Okay. We have law enforcement listed as Nunez, Warner, Gunderson, Mowry, Blaker, Payne, Talbot, Schwecke, Gilbertson, and then Riley Nolan from the Idaho State Police Lab. Honestly, I would have really liked to see Matthew Gammon in here. because he's the one who testified in January. So I'm wondering if he got the chance to talk to him. Plus, he also was the one who took the DNA down to Othram with Blaker. So I wonder if maybe he didn't opt to talk to him. Maybe he refused to talk to him. I'd like to know if he asked him. Okay, so Will Thompson, Bill Thompson, Xana, Jeff Nye, Ashley Jennings, Paulette Sutton, who is an expert witness from forensic criminology, a forensic criminologist, and that's on the side of the prosecution team. Then we have Anne, of course, Becca Barlow, Elisa Massoth, and then Brent Turvey, which is the forensic criminologist for the defense team. And then another one, which is the former FBI agent, Christopher Holland. That was also a forensic criminologist for the defense team. So then he has his prologue, and it starts with the sentencing, the July 2nd, 2025, situation. For the plea deal, the switch of the plea deal. And it talks about Judge Hippler, and it sort of quotes some of the things that were said during the sentencing. Again, not the sentencing, during the plea change. And it gives a little bit of the story, mentions some of the people that were there. It sort of just describes the atmosphere about what was going on. Then it has Thompson standing up, saying a bunch of crazy stuff that doesn't have anything to do with anything because they don't have a story. Now, I do find this page interesting right here, so I'll show y'all this portion. When it's really important, I'm going to show you the page. Go back. So right here, he says, because people were questioning the thing about the Alford plea, and I'm not an attorney. I don't claim to know anything about law or anything like that, so I don't really quite know still to this day, because nobody from Idaho is really, at least nobody that I've seen from Idaho has really laid it down really clear what the options still would be and how things would work. I'm going to assume that this guy probably did a little bit more research in that. But he says something in here about how he didn't have a choice but to cop to everything. And I lost the damn page. Where did it go? Right here. Okay. So on page 3, he says the state of Idaho does allow for an Alford plea where the defendant maintains innocence while acknowledging evidence sufficient to convict. But this is a case of capital murder. Kohberger's only option is to cop to all counts and throw himself upon the mercy of the court. That's an interesting way to put that. That because it is a capital murder case, this was the only option. Because a lot of people say that it's a bad thing that there was no Alford plea associated with any of this, because that has some sort of big tell-all. But if there were stipulations and regulations and laws put in there that made it to where he actually couldn't go that direction, then I wonder why so many people act like it's such a big deal. That's why I need to find somebody in Idaho that can lay that out. Especially now that we have information about how they can withhold stuff that the public defenders and stuff do with that new law that came out. I'd like some more information about that. That's for sure. Okay, so then he talks a bunch of crap about not really talks a bunch of crap, but he does make a point to mention how there's already been stuff that comes out from the New York Times. That's bullshit. Stuff that has come out from Amazon Prime and Peacock and Dateline. And basically he says, that they rely on family photos and haunting music in lieu of facts, meaning that it's just stuff that's being put out there to have something out there in the name of something that's trending, that's literally has no substance, which is basically what we've felt about everything that has come out on the TV about this, especially after the plea change and the way that they tried to eliminate so many facts from the mainstream media story, so much so that damn coffee house crime guy was following the same bullshit about the 1129 stuff from Pullman meaning something when we already know that it didn't. And now, we got more information from Pullman proving just how much Chief Jenkins is willing to lie about the importance and what it all actually means about that 1129 sighting. of the car in the parking lot and in the system, even though it was never turned in as a tip, and it literally did nothing. They're trying to like give themselves pats on the backs and all kinds of stuff, and it's just crazy. Super, super crazy to me. I don't understand that. Put this banner up here real quick for when I have the pieces up. Okay, so I'm glad that he mentioned that. Still waiting on something to pop from that Dateline situation. I do have it. Connor had it. Connor got it to me, and I'm still having to take time to, I need to find time to go through it and take out all the fluff and go over the shit that they put in there that they're claiming was evidence so that we can compare it to things, because they still haven't even been totally honest about what was considered part of the leak. But we know from interviews with law enforcement after the fact that before they stopped answering questions about it, I think it was Gilbertson said something about how Dateline saying that Kohberger sat down in Xana's chair because there was some sort of imprint of blood was false, that wasn't anything that they had ever talked about, he didn't know where that came from, which is just interesting. It talks about how the public was really outraged about the plea and that the court was getting a lot of emails and a lot of calls and stuff like that. Now, something I find interesting in here, and I don't know if the Kernodle family, if anybody in the Kernodle family has actually came out and said this anywhere, I would be honestly sort of freaking shocked if the Goncalves family has joined in on this situation with pretending as if they were not told that the plea was a situation that was happening, because that's not true. So on page 5, he says the families of Xana Kernodle and Kaylee Goncalves say they were not notified of an agreement until after the whole thing had been arranged. What have I been telling you guys for like ever now? That they were notified ahead of time that they needed to be in a Zoom meeting. Now I'm going to read you the message that I received on June 26, 2025. If I have to provide it and show the whole damn screenshot, eventually I will. But if you've been here for a while, you know who I used to speak to. It's been a super long time. We don't converse. I let them know about Xana's photo being out there so they could act accordingly when it happened. But other than that, there's not a lot of conversations to be had anymore. But this is what I was told on June 26, 2025. Well, I have to meet with the prosecutor's office tomorrow in a Zoom call with like 12 people to talk about the trial or whatever, I guess. It was the victim's advocate lady that emailed me and gave me the Zoom link today because they want to go over, I guess, the courtroom conduct and all of that. That was the families being told that they needed to have a conversation about the plea deal. That was them thinking at the time that there wasn't going to be a plea deal and they were literally going to have a conversation about the trial that was supposed to be starting within weeks. No. They were told that Thursday, hey, we need to meet up with you guys around noon tomorrow. A bunch of other people got the same email, the same notification, but instead of it being about the trial and courtroom conduct and where to go in and blah, 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 it was about the plea. So I don't understand again why this narrative is still out there, because that's not true. That's not true. So let's move on. Let's see. Okay, so here we go talking about, okay, so they made Kohberger stand up, and it's talking about how Hitler was asking Kohberger the questions that he asked. And goes over the charges. It goes over the burglary thing. Now, when it comes to them mentioning Kaylee, he puts a statement in here and he says, Kaylee was attacked with savagery. Stabbing might have been the least of it. That's how the author put that portion of that in here. And then when it talks about Xana, he does also mention the fact that you could see the fight in the pool of blood on the floor. That the story was written in the floor. And that's the damn truth. So then just more stuff about the plea and the stuff that Hitler was saying. And then it talks about, okay, right here on page 10, this is where I'm going to show you where he mentions the fact that he has seen everything. So right here on page 11, he says, oh wait, page 10. Every time I go to like actually share the page, it like pops up a page for some reason. Okay, so right here it says, so this is talking about what's the point in writing a book if we already know the story? Because he gives everything about the plea deal, and this is where he gets into like why we're talking about this right now. He says the answer begins with a 1963 Supreme Court decision titled Brady versus Maryland, in which the federal government ruled the prosecutors must disclose all evidence to the defense. This means Bill Thompson, Santa, had to hand his files to Kohberger's lawyer, Ann Taylor, who in turn farmed them out to experts for exculpatory opinion. As fate would have it, two of those experts seeking transparency provided me with a large chunk of Thompson's Brady disclosure, a cache of 59,000 files containing more than 200,000 largely unredacted exhibits. I'm getting freaking chills right now. From autopsy photos to the contents of Kohberger's phone, I have reviewed it all in my research for this book. I'm sorry. You know how freaking information that was? What? That is so much information. 59,000 files. And inside those 59,000 separate files are more than 200,000 largely unredacted exhibits, from autopsy photos to the contents of Kohberger's phone. That's crazy. Knowing that he has seen all of that evidence and he is out here putting his reputation on the line the same way that Cy Ray did and has continued to, be it though ever silently with the titles of the classes after Hitler called him a conspiracy theorist and basically freaking gagged him from being able to come out and speak. This is crazy. This is wild. Like, I am all kinds of different, like, I don't even know what to think. It's almost like a validation. Because we've been asking so many freaking questions since the documentation started coming out, and knowing that somebody who has had access to things that we will never see is out here being like, hold up. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Holy shit. Wild. I am, wow. Okay. So then it talks some more about the stuff that was talked about Kohberger moving from Pennsylvania. And he's like, yeah, this much is true. He talks about how there was a traffic stop that happened that was mentioned. And then he's like, I know it's difficult to see where this is going, but it's a plea hearing, so there's no objections, meaning that Thompson can just say whatever he wanted to say and nobody could really say anything about anything at all. Now, when it comes to the Hyundai Elantra being the vehicle that the state said is entered Moscow at 3:02, blah, 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 and it's the car that's SV1 and everything else, he's literally saying that nothing in the files that he reviewed shows anything of the kind when it comes to talking about how Kohberger's car made all this three-point turn and was driving around in the neighborhood and all these things. It literally says on page 12, nothing in the files I reviewed showed anything of that kind. We already know that Kohberger's even make and model car wasn't even on the original information. We know that even more now, because in the Pullman documentation that just came out, there's a list and like a not really a diagram, but like a bunch of different vehicles and a list of the types of vehicles that they thought that they were looking for before the 11/27 email from Brett Payne for the official law enforcement only shush freaking bolo. And a freaking Hyundai is not even listed as one of the vehicles. Not even listed as one of the possibilities, bro. Like, what? So for him to then say nothing in the files I reviewed shows anything of that kind, well, nothing in anything that we've reviewed shows that either. And he's seen a lot more than we have. A lot more than we have. Now it goes to talk about how the state apparently tries to lay out their non-narrative here. And in it is where he mentions the situation with Kaylee. It talks about how she was asphyxiated and was so severely injured that her skull, her palate, and her orbital bones were completely fractured. And it says, again, what I mentioned earlier, that she was from ear to ear twice post-mortem. Twice post-mortem. Now think back to something that Olivia had said about how, because they think it's Kohberger, about how he played with the bodies or like experimented with the bodies after the fact. Take away the person that they're blaming on this, and somebody who did this did that to Kaylee twice after she was no longer alive. Ear to ear. He's seen the autopsy photos. What does he have to lie for? I don't even really know what to think about that, because that's crazy. 2 after the fact. And that's just one instance of something that we're reading. We don't know what the hell else he's actually seen. We have no idea. Okay, let's see. Okay, so he also mentions how the DNA, the single source male DNA was found on the snap of the sheath, that's being mentioned in court. I don't specifically remember if the snap was mentioned during the plea change. I'm going to assume it was, or he wouldn't have it in here with quotations. We know that's crazy, because after the gag was lifted and the forensic documents came out, there's nothing about a snap on any of the information. Even after the fact, when they went in and re-swabbed, which is, what is it, Q 1.5? I think it's 1.5. When they went in and swabbed the inside pocket of the sheath, there's nothing, like nothing was changed. Like nothing at all says anybody went back and swabbed a snap or anything like that. The borders that are color-coded in the forensic documentation, and I have all of these videos done separately. They're all out there. For most of you guys, this is not new information. Nothing about anything in the forensic report says that they swabbed a snap. But that's the only thing that we've heard up until the forensic actual documentation came out from the Idaho State Police. Now, what we also found out is that the Q-tip that was the DNA was apparently found on was a resubmitted Q-tip. So there's no paper trail for what happened with the first one that came from the strap with a T. But the only one mentioned in court was constantly one from a snap with an N. And they don't have a paper trail for where the snap one came from and why the one that tested for his DNA came in as a resubmitted sample. It's the only one on all of the forensic documents that show that it's a resubmitted sample. You can't trust anything. You literally cannot trust anything at all. Okay, so it also says here that Thompson doesn't mention seemingly significant flaws in that part of the case, including FBI's laboratory reports that the state's DNA sample may have comprised less than 10 human cells. Now, remember, we also went through all of that stuff in the forensic reports. We either did a live, I think it was a live where I went in and we did the calculations. We looked at the graphs to see just the exact amount of DNA that was actually found, what they ended up magnifying it to in order to make it where it was even testable. So when the DNA went down to Othram, it wasn't like the original sample. They did all kinds of stuff to it to amplify the DNA in order for Othram to be able to do what they needed to do with it. And that magnified, that amplified sample is what was brought down to Othram. So that's why when Home Dude, looking like he's on some shit at the Comic-Con thing, sitting next to his wife, the Othram freaking people, I don't know their damn names. I don't care enough to know their freaking names. But while they're sitting there, and he says some dumb shit about how, I don't know why they're saying it was just a little bit of DNA. It was such a big amount of DNA or some crap. No, it wasn't. No, it was freaking not. There was literally hardly anything there. And I think we've even heard of the 10-cell thing before. But when we got the forensic percentages, the actual measurements, oh yeah, it proved just how pathetic this was. On top of all the other unknown DNA. And not just on the damn knife sheath, all over the freaking house. In places where there shouldn't be anything. Doesn't matter if it's a party house. Doesn't matter if people were in and out. Some of these places should not have had anybody else's DNA on them. Definitely not some unknown DNA. What, including that glove, right? That had blood on it that was outside. Come on. This case is so convoluted. So convoluted. He mentions the 4 brothers that were not named Kohberger that wouldn't help in anything. Now, he says this is interesting too. I would like to compare our information for this. So he says, he, meaning Thompson, does not mention a potentially catastrophic chain of custody issue or the fact that handwritten Idaho State Police evidence retention forms note that the sheath was found not on the bed, but on the floor. 2 things. I don't know if he's talking about the chain of custody for the DNA sample or if he's talking about chain of custody for the sheath. I have chain of custody for the sheath when it came to MPD, or at least what they tried to attempt to give me, which was a bunch of dumb shit. We have a video about that too. If he's talking about the Othram trip, I did FOIA information from Matthew Gamet because we found out in January of 2025 that Matthew Gamet actually went down with Dustin Blaker. And I also found it really interesting that while there was a scientist and a cop that took the DNA sample down, the cop was the only one allowed to actually carry it. And neither one of them in their reports mentioned the other person. Like, Blaker doesn't mention anything about Matthew Gamet, and Matthew Gamet had to be asked specifically by Ann Taylor about, like, the trip in itself. And he doesn't even say that it's from a Moscow officer. He calls him a Boise officer, but it's Blaker. Like, we have the report where Blaker goes and picks up the sample. Oh, and then never mind the fact that they take off together on the same plane. Blaker goes straight back to the airport. Like, he's there, he drops the shit off, and he goes straight back to the airport and goes back to Boise because they took off from the Boise airport. Matthew Gamet leaves Houston and does not go back to Boise. He goes to Utah for a few days because they left on a Friday. They either left on a Friday and he didn't get his car till Tuesday, or they left on a Tuesday and he didn't get his car till Friday. I think it's that way. I have a video with all the receipts and stuff on there. But I'm like, what'd you go to Utah for? Like, if it was personal, it wouldn't be on, like, the receipt thing for work expenses. You know what I mean? And it's on there. So I don't know. There's just a lot. It's just a freaking lot. There's been so freaking much. My God. It gets so freaking much. Okay. Now, when it comes to the fact that there's a handwritten Idaho State Police evidence retention form that says that the sheath was found on the floor, I've never seen anything that says that. I'm going to show you all the page right here. Everything that we've gotten shows. I mean, I haven't seen handwritten anything when it comes to the sheath itself. Well, I can't really say that. We have, like, the pieces that came from the forensic reports, but when it comes to, like, anybody saying where it was found, actually, I don't remember there being anything about there being something on the floor, unless that's something that ISP has not released yet. But we know that we're being told that it was not completely covered up, that it was only partially covered. You can see the way the knife sheath looks on the bed, where it's sticking out. You can see it. and there's only like the very tip of the curvature, like the curvature of the tip is barely tucked under Maddie's like thigh-ish area. And my issue with that not being really like talked about a lot is the fact that Eric Warner claims in his report that he walked into the room and went around to that side of the bed to check Maddie's leg for lividity. Home dude would have seen it if it was not covered up and it was right there. And he doesn't mention it. None of the freaking first responders mention seeing it whatsoever. And we know that Gunderson walked in there, Snyder walked in there, Warner walked in there, all of them, Corbin walked in there, like all of these people walked in there. And none of them, including the people that are claiming, Eric Warner claiming that he walked to that side of the bed and checked Maddie's leg that's touching it. He doesn't mention it. It's not in his report. Now, is it mentioned in the body cam and it's part of the stuff that's been redacted and muted and they've for some reason told him not to write it in the report? I don't know. But when you go to the Moscow Police Department records that were released, the supplemental or the sequence or whatever the frick they labeled them, there's like 315 of them, including the big narrative at the beginning. The first person to mention it is, I think, Rosendahl. Is it Rosendahl? I'm not sure if it's Rosendahl. Y'all remember. But it's on the 14th that he writes the report. And in it, all he says is that he was told a sheath was found at the scene the day before. So he's writing that portion in there right before he goes off to Walmart to go and ask them about if they sell K-bars. That's the first report besides the narrative itself where it's actually mentioned. That's weird to me. The first responders should have said something if it was there. The way that we were told that it was partially covered, meaning exposed. Dude walked to that side of the bed. How come Eric Warner didn't say he saw it? Is that something Ann Taylor would have actually like questioned him about if the trial would have happened? Because even when it comes to Blaker and Payne puts basically the responsibility of him finding it on himself. And now that we're where we are now, Dollinger has come out at least twice now and even said that it was Payne that found it. But Blaker in his stuff always writes that ISP is who found it. And we know from, especially now reading the stuff that came out from Pullman, that people will just take responsibility for something to get accolades for something that they didn't actually do. So I don't really even know what to think about that. Other than the fact that like we damn well know that Payne didn't find it. But yeah, I don't know where this is. I'm sure that it's going to get talked about when the girls talk with him about that portion, because as far as I know, and correct me if I missed it, guys, as far as I know, in the results and the stuff that's come out, I haven't seen anything about the sheath being handwritten in there as being seen on the floor. So I'd like some more information on that situation. Okay, let's see. Yeah, every time I go to share the page and then turn it back off, like it jumps. Okay. So on page 14, after he talks about the handwritten note about the sheath being on the floor, and let me look over here just to see and make sure that I didn't miss anybody saying that they saw it in there. Nobody saw a handwritten note either that says anything like in the stuff that we've gotten about it being on the floor. See, he has access to all kinds of stuff that we don't have access to. Oh yeah, I did hear or read a comment about Devil's Advocate talking to him too. What's the date on that? Do you guys know? I'll have to go over there and check. Yeah, I'm going to probably like listen to everywhere he talks. just so I can compare like the stuff that he's claiming, like what he's saying. I really hope that at some point, well, actually the book, something in the book says something about there being like police reports and stuff like that he like shows in the book itself. But I'm wondering like how much of that he's going to be allowed to actually show. He's dropping it the same day that the girls are. Well, that's weird. Okay, I guess I'll have to see the times for that. I'll have to see the times for that. But I'm going to watch all of them because like, holy shit. Okay. So the next thing it says how, let's see. Thompson does not explain that Xana died 30 feet away from where she was originally attacked. He does not explain the forensically impossible. This is where, okay, right here, I think is where he puts it on there in a certain way that kind of like blows my mind. It should be coming up real soon if this isn't it right here. He does not explain the forensically impossible trail of apparently altered evidence Xana left along the way, including spatter that was diluted with an unknown substance. He doesn't explain the two survivors inside the house did not notice the screams, even though the audio recording picked it up, which, of course, I don't understand why anyone has ever given them any lenience in anything, knowing that a freaking camera away from the house picked up stuff that we could hear. But they are right there. And we have Bethany claiming that what she thought was the little bitty freaking red Solo cups falling. Like she heard a sound that was so light, like Solo cups falling. And she was able to remember hearing that. You're trying to tell me that you didn't hear running around and stomping and fighting? Come on. Come on. All right, no way. Okay, let's see. What else is he putting here? Okay. He doesn't explain how Ethan, who was 6'4" and 228 pounds, never got out of the bed to help her as she fought for her life just 3 feet away, and he was awake. Not only with his amphetamine levels being a sign, an indicator that he probably wasn't down enough to fall asleep, but also he was up on his right elbow when the first wound started, meaning that he wasn't in some sort of like defensive movement. He wasn't trying to like get up out the bed. It's like he was comfortable with whoever might have walked in, or maybe just wasn't too alarmed just yet. But he was up on his right elbow. And we know from the documents that have come out recently that Ethan had Xana's blood, I believe, under his fingernails, yeah? And she had his under her fingernails. Isn't that what we read? Like, I know that I'm still doing videos to keep up on documentation, but I've been able to skim through a lot. I'm pretty sure that's what we read. Correct me, please, if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what's in there. Yeah, crazy stuff. Okay. He also then says that Ethan's blood was found undiluted at the top of the stairs leading down to the first floor, and that there were stains somehow hidden under a box of White Claws. So is he talking about the White Claws that were on the steps? Was there a box on the steps? I'm going to have to go in and look at the pictures. I'll have to go back and look at the photos. There were several like White Claw boxes. So I wonder if he's going to mention that more specifically later. Okay, let's see. Okay, then he says he does not mention apparently overwhelming forensic evidence of crime scene alteration, a cleanup of the house's common spaces, or the highly likely involvement of a second assailant. So he's saying, again, after seeing over 200,000 largely unredacted exhibits and having, what was it, 59,000 files? Is that what he said? He is even coming out and saying that there is overwhelming forensic evidence of crime scene alteration, a cleanup of the house's common spaces, or the highly likely involvement of a second assailant. And remember, there is blood in the kitchen on the floor. See, this is where he says it right here. Where's it at? Right here at the top of 15 in the preview. And we've mentioned this too, because it makes no sense that we're supposed to believe that there's no trails, there's no footprints, there's no nothing. Even there's just no way. Even if somebody had like booties on, there still would have been some sort of impression from all of the blood that was on the floor that would have been being walked in. We see the fight that took place. But he didn't levitate. Whoever it was cannot levitate. They're not Spider-Man where they're walking on the walls or the ceiling. Like, there's no way that they walked out of especially Xana's room and there's just nothing. Hop, skip, jump, somehow missed it all. How? No. No and no again. No. Okay, let's see. Okay, talking about Ethan was in the bed asleep. Each victim suffered multiple wounds. He's clarifying again that there is no evidence of any S component and no SA of any of the victims. Now, you remember there was this one lady, the lady that was in that one Facebook group. She was responsible for the "What Did You Say to Adam" footage coming out. I remember her, pretty positive it was her. When she was going drunk turkey talking about the case, like she would get like angry when people would talk about how there wasn't any SA, like she was mad. Because that was like her big belief, is that it was motivated for that. And she was like angry that was the truth. It was weird. There's been like a lot of people that are like mad that there's no SA or anything like that in the whole situation, because they don't know what to think about it, because they want Kohberger to be some sort of deprived sex freak. And it doesn't fit that. So they just are like, oh, that's bullshit. That's the motivation anyway. I don't care what it says. But we're the crazy ones. What? People be wilding out there for real. Okay, let's see. Okay. Remember what we found in the documentation? They're saying that the blanket was placed over Ethan's body after he had been bleeding out. And there's no holes in that blanket, meaning that he wasn't through the blanket. He's mentioning that Thompson does not address the fact that Ethan's neck and body was covered with the blanket sometime after he died. He does not divulge evidence showing that despite a trail of blood from Maddie's room, right here, here's where it is. Listen really close. Let me put this on the page. Listen real close. Because like I said, we've known this. At least from everything that we've read, we've never heard otherwise than this. So it should have been probably something we should have been talking about more. Definitely, I feel dumb for not talking about it more. But the way that it's put in here, is wild. Okay, here it is right here. He does not divulge evidence showing that despite a trail of blood. One more time. Okay, here it is. He does not divulge evidence showing that despite a trail of blood from Maddie's room to the third floor to Xana's on the second, not a drop was found on the bed where Ethan supposedly died at the hands of a lone offender. Meaning, again, there's no traces of Maddie and Kaylee in Xana's room to prove that the assailant went from taking Maddie and Kaylee's lives, attacking Xana on the way to her room, while still having Maddie and Kaylee's blood on them while they're attacking Xana and Ethan, meaning that even Xana and Ethan's bodies didn't show any sort of any sort of transfer of Maddie and Kaylee. So does that mean also that we can just assume based on this that there was no mixtures in the wounds either? Because that's something else that a lot of people have been questioning. And I feel like if anybody would know, this guy would know. But that's just being assumed based off of this wording. But again, I guess this is something that we probably should have been talking about more. Because even if we didn't have like the wounds and all those things like that, we still have them showing us and telling us where there's unknown DNA and all these other things. And besides like the stairwell, is it the stairwell? The stairwell has both of them coming from the third floor, and then Kaylee's blood is on the table. How could a person be covered in what they like just did and within 30 seconds be in another room attacking somebody else according to what they want us to believe, and there's nothing of Maddie and Kaylee on the bed where the person would have been fighting Ethan? Well, that's impossible. That's impossible. Here it is right here. There is no mention that a clump of hair was discovered in Ethan's closed fist, presumably pulled in a fight with his killer. There is no citation of laboratory evaluation because there was none. The hair was labeled as debris and never examined beyond color and length, and there was no attempt to identify its source using DNA. So they took a clump of hair out of Ethan's hand and labeled it debris and did nothing further. I'm sorry? Like, this is not the first time that I have read this, and I'm still not sure what to think. Because if that's the case, then isn't that ISP's fault? Because ISP is the one who did the freaking forensics evidence pickup, like evidence collection was all done by ISP. Wouldn't they have been the ones responsible for removing it from Ethan's hand? Or would it have been after? Like, when did it get picked up? That's my question. When did it get grabbed out of his hand? Was it at the scene and then it was marked as debris? Or did they remove it during the autopsy? Because the bodies were taken to the funeral home in Moscow, and then they were brought to Spokane after the fact. So when was the hair removed from his hand? At the crime scene before they moved his body? Or did they put a bag over his hand and take the hair out of his hand in Spokane? Yeah. There is a portion, and you know what? We can pause for a second, and I can go pull it up, because I did see Lady Di earlier say she must have missed that. Before, like, I'm going to go look right now, but you guys tell me right here while I'm looking. Is it in Warner's where you can actually hear it, or is it in Noon's where you can actually hear it? Because we talked about this. There is a section in the first responder camera and it is after Warner has walked down the hallway. Before Warner gets there is when Hunter Johnson picks up the damn knife from the floor and puts it on the table. So we knew automatically that it was not that he was not talking about Hunter. The only other he that would have been present at the time would have been Ethan. So when he says something about what has he got there, it really like threw a lot of questions out, because what are you talking about, sir? Okay, I'm going to go down to Connor's channel, and then I'm going to pull it up. Where are you at, Warner? Snyder, Gunderson. Snyder, Gunderson. Noons, Gunderson. Oh, and for those who don't maybe know, because there's like 1,700 of you in here, this is Connor's channel right here. He shares a lot of interviews. There's a new one that just came out that I haven't heard. Well, I've done my recording of it. I need to ask him, Connor, if you're in here, if you can let me know. They do speak to these two guys separately. I'm going to assume, based on common sense, that the first guy that's talked to is Trent and the second one is the Ryan guy. I would like to separate them. So if you could let me know that, or I'll just email you if you're not in here, and then I can like figure out who is who and separate it that way. But this is where a lot of the body cams come out. So let me put his link in the chat for those of you who might need to catch up on some stuff. I would rather you go and listen to it from its source than listen to my commentary on it so that you can get your own take on it. Okay, let me see. Where is Warner? Okay, here's Warner part 1. Let me go to the spot where he comes in the house.
Slow down. Dude.
What's he got there?
What's he got there? You heard it? What's he got there? At this point, Hunter Johnson, according to what we can hear in Noon's body cam, has already picked up that damn knife off the top of the stairs and placed it, plopped it. We heard it clunk down on that damn table. So he is saying, what's he got there? Looking at Ethan.
Dude.
What's he got there?
3 minutes and 14 seconds into Warner's body cam. Yep. He sure did. He sure did. It's literally just Noons and Warner. He's asking it to Noons. What's he got there? So that's my question now. Did ISP collect it at the scene before he was bagged and removed? Because remember, Xana and Ethan were removed first. That's what we've already seen. We've seen that footage of them being taken out the house now. So was it removed from him at the scene, or was his hand bagged up, and was it removed in Spokane before the autopsy? Because we know there was a lot of investigators there too. That's what I'm maybe thinking at this point. Because the only other thing that was on the bed that we know of is Xana's phone. Ethan's phone was on the floor with what looked to have been like a corner of the, what is it, like the right top corner, opposite side of where the camera is, was like attacked, maybe hit with the blade or something like that, and like a big chunk of it's missing. Like, I don't think they can either. I think that it has to all be done like at the autopsy. So then the medical examiner would know all of this. Okay. Let's see what else he says. See what I mean? Like, this is just the first like 30 something pages. And the book is how many? 443. And he has seen all that evidence. Like, at this point, just make a documentary. Put it all on a freaking screen. Get a bunch of different people that are all experts in every little subject that you were sent evidence-wise, and just do a damn documentary and put it all in our faces. Insane. All right, let's see what else he has to say. I cannot believe they labeled it as debris. Like, what? Yeah, I'm going to end up going, I need to go through the reports and see, like, because I do know that there are several things labeled as debris. Maybe the girls or somebody else somebody who's talking to him can ask him, like, if that's a forensic report that we already have, or if that's part of the stuff that he has that hasn't been released yet. Because I'd like to know if that's something that we already have access to read about how, like, they have, what did he say? They examined it, was never examined beyond color and length. And there was no attempt to do anything with it. That is so freaking crazy. Now, this is where he says that one of the roommates, which we know would be Dylan from how this stuff is being described, says that she saw the defendant, which isn't true technically at all, because she refused to do a composite sketch to prove that the person that she even like had in her mind would even remotely resemble Bryan Kohberger. Plus, when he was arrested and his mugshot went out there, she took it upon herself, apparently, according to her interview and her very own freaking words coming out of her own freaking face, that she did not recognize the guy. And then also on November 13th, Detective Mowry straight up asked Dylan specifically if she remembered the dude's eyebrows, and she said, no, I don't remember his eyes either. So technically, no, she does not say that she saw the defendant. She saw something, maybe, who was dressed in black with a black belt, holding some sort of container in his hand, when she saw him leave the house through the direction of the kitchen where that sliding door is that I mentioned before. It's like in quotations. Now, I will say that going back and listening to Dylan's original account from like the scene, she doesn't technically say that she ever saw the person going out the back slider. I want to go back in eventually and go back and listen to like all of her interviews in succession just to see if it does change. Because I went back, especially when she was at the scene, and she says he walks by her, the person walks by her, but she just mentions like the direction in which she saw the person going. But as for like physically watching the person walk out the slider, that was not, at least not her original story. That wasn't said at the scene when she was talking to Noons at all. The container thing is also really interesting because remember, it went from being like a person in all black to like a firefighter with some sort of like triangular vacuum thing being described to us. Like, just weird. Super, super weird. Now, it says here, Thompson is talking about the reports, and he is talking about what Dylan said in the reports. And he says that the body cam footage recorded by MPD Officer Noons that we were just talking about proves that Dylan never mentioned the belt or the container in her first interview on Sunday afternoon standing outside of the house. She did not mention it during the second interview later that afternoon with Mowry, which is the same one where he asked, which is also strange. He doesn't say like, do you remember the color of his eyes or anything like that? He just straight up goes to, do you remember his eyebrows? And I just found that odd. I find that odd. Now, it says that she did not discuss the belt or the container until days later in the presence of her lawyer on the 17th. So somewhere in between the 13th and the 17th, those 4 days, that she talked to the feds and who knows who else on top of her attorney. And that's where the story changed. That's where the story changed a lot, actually. Let's see, what else does he say? Oh, well, he's kind of like throwing some shade at Gooch right here. He says, when asked what she remembered, the police report show Mortensen said she did not. See, he says police reports. Has he not listened to did he not listen to the interviews by the time like he published this? When did he publish this book? Well, I mean, it's coming out the 28th, but that's not when it was written. Does it say when he wrote it? Because obviously it's after the plea. And I mean, it is just words. I don't know. But for him to keep saying like police report, I wonder if that means that he wrote the book after the plea, but like before the actual audio came out. I mean, I'm sure that he listened to him by now, but I'm wondering if this book was written before that. Okay, let's see what else he says. But when he's talking about Gooch, he says that instead of pressing the issue about how she keeps claiming that she doesn't really remember much of anything, Gooch reassured Mortensen that she was a witness, not a suspect, and asked very little of probative value, which is true because they never really called her out on her shit much. Like when it came to the fact that she admitted so many times to seeing Xana on the floor, both at 4 o'clock in the morning-ish and then before the calls all started going out, she's like, how could you possibly have like called us in for an unconscious person if you've seen it? And then she tries to throw Hunter Johnson under the bus at that point. She's like, well, you know, I felt kind of like bad about that. And then I was talking about it with Hunter Johnson and he said for me not to feel bad because he didn't really notice it first either. What? Liar. Liar? Like, is there another word? Liar? What? No. Out of your mind. Okay. Now we have the defendant's car at approximately 4:20 in the morning. These are in quotations. This is stuff that Thompson is saying at the plea. And then white car, yes. Defendant identified as the driver, no. But do we really know if it was a white car or just a light colored car? That's something else that we've been having issues with because we know that it's black and white and that light colored cars of several different shades can look the same in these cameras. That's why the undercover police officer car and that green car, the light green car, it's really interesting the way that they look whenever they're in certain filters or in like night vision or night view or whatever, black and white. It's hard to tell exactly what the original color is. Plus, we also were told in the Molly DoorDash driver interviews that a tan car drove by her with like a gingery, blondishy looking guy in like a white button-down shirt or whatever, collared shirt, drove next to her as she was walking down, at least according to her. Okay. Walking down from the back parking area behind the house down towards like that dumpster spot because she couldn't find what she was looking for with the house number or whatever. And if the timing and everything that she's claiming is accurate, I don't think that you can't see like what car might be gray, what car might be silver, what car might be white, what car might be tan. Like you can't tell that at all in those cameras unless it's like, you can really only tell if a car is dark or light. You can't tell shade. Like literally at all. You can't. There's just no way. Okay, so then it's talking about, okay, so this is interesting because I've said this before about like certain words that are used. So it says that Thompson says the evidence would show that following that the defendant in his Elantra drove south of Moscow. We know that he drove on the back roads because there are surveillance cameras on the main highway 95 that would have picked up the defendant's car if he'd have gone that route. And he puts, meaning no one knows anything at all about where the car actually went. Isn't that what I said about the freaking PCA 3.5 years ago? There's a portion on there that says something about how these cameras didn't pick up anything and these cameras didn't pick up anything either. But because these cameras didn't pick up anything, he had to have gone this way, even though the cameras over there didn't pick up anything either. That's literally the PCA. That's literally the PCA. And that's the exact same thing that they just played here again. That because the cameras on 95 didn't pick up anything, then he had to have gone this other way. No, you're saying that he went the way that fits your narrative because you're claiming there's all these cameras this way and there's nothing there. So of course he took the back roads. Of course he didn't want to be detected by cameras. Of course he went this way when you have no proof, which is what we've said from day one. We've said that from day one. Okay. So then when it talks about the phone, it talks about how at 4:48 that morning, the defendant's phone comes back on, and the evidence will show that the phone was located south of Moscow, likely at a side road intersection with Highway 95. Again, this is what Thompson is saying. It's in quotations. From there, the defendant's phone activity tracks heading back north towards Pullman, where the defendant lived. About 5:26, starting approximately 5:26, various surveillance cameras in Pullman, Washington, pick up the defendant's vehicle as he enters Pullman from the south and heads north and slightly west towards his apartment. Now, what we can say that we have visually seen for this is that when it comes to the white car that they wanted us to believe at first was Bryan Kohberger's car leaving Pullman and going towards Moscow, that it has fog lights. And it's not Kohberger's car. So they had to remove it from the so-say trial evidence during all the motions in limine, and they wanted to start the entire timeline of SV1 already in Moscow on the opposite side of 95 in the Indian Hills area at like, what was it, 326 or some shit like that? But in the footage that they show of the white car coming back into Pullman, guess what it doesn't have? Fog light. And guess where Bryan said he was that night? The direction the no fog light car is coming back from. The only person that has been consistent up until the plea is Kohberger when it comes to his story. Everything else about the story being given to us by the prosecution, none of it can be proven and none of it has stayed. It's all bullshit. All bullshit. So this is what he says here. This assertion, when it comes to the car coming back into the area where he lived at approximately 5:30, this assertion is slightly more accurate, though in my opinion, misleading. Analysis by the FBI Cellular Analysis Survey Team, meaning I'm going to assume this would mean the people that did the stuff for the prosecution, even though we do know that Cy-Ray and another guy were also working on this exact same stuff for the defense. Analysis by the FBI Cellular, I can't talk. CAST team. Analysis by the CAST team shows tower connections to Kohberger's phone, but their graphically animated courtroom presentation only claims accuracy to within 13 miles. And remember what we were told in the very beginning by like a guilter, that the towers can hit anywhere from a 5 to 20 mile radius. And depending on the strength of the towers and the signal that your phone can get from them, it can try to connect to towers that are not in the direction in which you were traveling. That you could be traveling north, but because there's no signal and the towers are bad out there, or maybe there's too much traffic, it can put you east, it can put you west, it can put you south, it can put you going in a direction that you were not going, because the phone is going to constantly try to connect to the signal. It's going to just do what it needs to do, regardless of direction. So we've known how ridiculous all that was the entire time. Despite prosecution assertions, Selpings placed Kohberger nowhere near the scene, which is what we already knew. Let me show you where it says it on the page. Where's it at? See how it jumps? See how it jumps? Okay, right here is where it says, meaning that no one knows anything about where the car actually went. And then down here, where it talks about the car coming back up into Pullman, it says right here that despite the prosecution assertions, Selpings placed Kohberger nowhere near the scene, which we've already known. And again, if you don't know why I keep taking this off of here, stuff when it comes to copyrighted book material works a lot differently than stuff that has to follow YouTube guidelines for YouTube copyright material. So I cannot just read it to you verbatim. I have to go through it and just give you like highlight stuff and do it like this, or else my channel can get like removed from existence, and we're not doing any of that. Plus, copyrighted material is on these pages twice. And I'm not playing. So that's why we're doing things like this. And I'm just showing you the page when we actually go through something. Okay, let's see. Later that morning, it's talking about going back to the King Road area. That's not true either. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning. Again, this is quotations from Thompson. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning, was there about 10 minutes, and then returned to his Pullman residence. About 9:30. The state's evidence will show evidence taken from the defendant's phone that he took a selfie of himself on his phone and what appears to be in the bathroom of his Pullman apartment with a thumbs up. That's the selfie that we've seen. And remember, which I'm sure this guy knows this. The one that we got from the state has Kohberger melted into the shower. Like every freaking thing in that photo is the same shade of beige. Okay. Then Dateline dropped one, and it was supposed to be of the same selfie, but instead of it looking the way that it looked when the state dropped it, it had him having like little red splotches all over his face up here, and like he needed a shave down here. His eyebrows were like dark as shit. His hair was like, it was like freaking soaking wet. Like it was definitely edited. Okay. Then the Celebrite information came out, and I contacted Celebrite myself after Plunder said that she had gotten a Google Drive link with a bunch of information in it, and got the Google Drive link myself. And the selfie that actually came from Kohberger's phone has a normal ass freaking skin color. He has like a Easter green, pastel green church shirt practically on. And guess what that matches? The footage of him going in and out of Costco and Albertsons. So it wasn't like a white collared shirt to match what Molly said. It was a green Easter colored shirt that didn't match anything that they were trying to say, because it wasn't even the same color that the state put out. The state literally came out. It is on the website right now for the case of interest for Idaho in all the stuff during the motions of limine. You can go pull it up right now. The state was able to submit in their motions of limine a heavily edited and altered photograph of the thumbs up selfie. And I don't understand why or how it was allowed. And I've mentioned this before. If you've been here for a while, you know this. When I had to give evidence over in our case that we have a protective order for, I couldn't send in just something that had like a highlight of what he said or what I found or a arrow or a circle. Like I could in order to show them what I was talking about. But then I also had to submit its original form with no highlights, no circles, no edits, no text to be like, hey, this is what it is, or anything to point anything out. So the fact the state was able to do that and no one said a word right in our faces. We have 3 different pictures of that damn picture. And it's the same picture. Like, that's crazy. Okay. So then he says here, in fact, such a photo was not out of character or in some way unique. Kohberger's phone was filled with a large number of selfies, photos of hiking, eating dinner with his family, or petting his dog. He seemed to like baseball, especially the Yankees, and numerous socially awkward selfies, and had Googled corn a grand total of 3 times. Okay, so that answers a lot for me, actually. That answers a lot for me, actually. So I had asked when we got that information, because of the way that it was being given about him doing a paper on like certain papers and certain assignments and things like that. I was wondering if like those certain things were looked up a certain number of times during a certain specific date range for maybe an assignment, or if it was something that was like sporadic and random, which would prove more that it was like a personal search. You know what I mean? So for him to say that in total, there was only 3 searches, I mean, that kind of answers a lot. I mean, it doesn't answer it completely. It does not answer it completely, but it does give information that was, in my opinion, much needed. Okay. Among 3,509 text messages he sent or received in the 4 months leading up to the crimes, all but a few were his family, and nothing suggested premeditation, which we already knew. There was no sign of anything. There was no sign of literally anything. No connections, no previous searches for anything. They even said that he didn't even look up the crime itself until the day that the press conference happened on the 16th. Like, come on. Okay, let's see. Okay, so then it talks about how he went to Lewiston, Clarkston area, and how that area is around the Snake River area, and about how that's a big, large body of water. And it says Thompson's insinuation is unclear, but perhaps this is where he thinks Kohberger tossed the knife, ? Which I think that they've sort of mentioned that they think that that's where they put, that he might have put it in their own narrative. We don't know shit about shit when it comes to the actual weapon, though, is also the problem, because they've yet to actually come out and admit that the wounds match that of a K-bar. And when you think of a knife, you don't think of the way that Mabbitt described the wounds, or how the Goncalveses have described the wounds as like gouges, tears, rips. Like we know what a K-bar is capable of, but we also know that there are professionals that have come out here and said, yeah, that doesn't really seem accurate. But we also know that before all the other information started coming out, that they were talking about the definite of a second weapon. And my whole thing with that is a real expert will know the difference between the other end of a K-bar being used and an actual separate weapon. And I'm pretty sure that like pretty much every expert here has mentioned the fact that there was more than one weapon. And this guy's pretty positive that there was more than one person. Just plain and simple. Okay, let's see. Okay, so then right here it starts talking about how, let's see. I don't remember Thompson saying this. I'm going to have to go back in and listen, I guess, to the plea thing. So he's talking about Thompson talking about that following after the crime, that the defendant began searching for K-bar knives and K-bar knife sheaths to replace the one that was left at the scene of the murders. The evidence will also suggest that there was at least attempts by the defendant to delete or alter his purchase history on Amazon, which you can't do, by the way. You cannot delete your freaking purchase history. It is forever and for always in the servers. And for a man that was trying to work in cloud-based things, help in cloud-based things when it came to his assistantship that he didn't get, don't you think he would know that? Don't you think he would know that you can't just simply delete shit? I honestly, and I'm going to look again right now. I have never even seen an option in my freaking Amazon app. And again, I don't really use the thingy very much. It's been a long time since I've even looked. I don't think you can even delete it. Let me go to an order and see if I even have that option. I feel like I've done this already. And I don't think that I did. Let me see. Okay, so I'm going to the kids' VR charger. I have a buy it again option, the delivery date, a track package, get product support, return items with an eligibility date, product review, create a video review, leave seller feedback, view order details, share gift receipt, the order date, and then items that it's telling me I might want because of that. Share tracking, product support, buy again, track package, return items, da 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 da. This is my app. But as far as I've always understood, like there's not an option to go in and delete a receipt or an order for something that you purchased. Like that doesn't even make any sense. Like deleting an item out of your wish list, deleting a wish list, but deleting a purchase. That's crazy. Like you can't do that. So I don't know what they were trying to say with that or what evidence they were going to produce with that. He says, based on careful analysis of all prosecution files, these claims seem highly dubious, but once again, there is no cross-examination in a change of plea hearing. So again, Thompson could just say whatever he wanted. Then they talk about the license plate being changed. We don't even need to like repeat that again because now we know that he actually went in there to change his plates beforehand, according to the lady that was actually there speaking to him when the plates were changed. And that he was told that for money-saving purposes, because of their regulations for timing, for him to wait. And people, again, need to remember that plate changes are traceable. Traceable. And Brett Payne told Ann Taylor, I believe it was in the January 2025 closed session, that the front plate situation wasn't even a thing that they were even giving a shit to look at until they had Kohberger's information. So that's important. But when it comes to the vehicle being seen on their surveillance camera, not having a front license plate, so it has to be the defendant's car, He says 1 of 5 white cars captured on camera, only 1 shows a missing plate. Only 1. But we also know multiple vehicles can be that way. But also, the state submitted a picture. Again, something that's really strange about the stuff that they're submitting. And again, it's still there in the make and model motions of limine that are right now on the case of interest website. And I'm pretty positive that the link for that, well, they might have changed that. Normally in the videos where we go through the paperwork, the documentation itself, I'll have a link for the document on the case of interest website. But if they do make any changes, then the links go dead. And like you have to do a new one. I don't know, but it's in the motion of limine stuff when it comes to the make and model of the vehicle. The photo that the state provided literally looks like it has like a rectangular bracket at the very, very bottom where they tried to like cut it off where a license plate would go. And that's nothing that I took from anything and edited. You can literally go pull it up right now and look it up yourself. It's there. Nobody did anything to it but the state because they're the ones that submitted it. But it damn sure looks like there's a rectangular bracket. It damn sure does. So then it talks about Kohberger finishing his semester at WSU and then going to Pennsylvania for the holidays. And that's where he was located and that there was a trash pool conducted. He said, the FBI did not simply locate him in Pennsylvania. They surveilled him for more than 2,500 miles as he drove home from school with his father. A trash pool was warrantless search. It would have been contested at the trial. Now, remember when he got pulled over in Indiana, the feds originally for like a whole half a day came out and took responsibility for following him. But then some information came out about them losing him at some point. So they came out and like retracted their involvement in the entire situation. But then the information came out that on the 16th, they watched him walk in and out of a CVS in Pennsylvania. So the next day after the traffic stops, they were watching him. We just don't know the date. We know that they got his DNA sample stuff on the 10th of December, and they called Moscow on the 19th. So I don't know. I don't know what day would have done it, or we don't know. We don't know the day the FBI actually had eyes on him for the first time. Maybe this guy knows. I'd love to know. So then it comes to the Q-tip that had the DNA of Michael Kohberger on it from the trash pool. And how it was coming out to be the father of the person whose DNA was found on the knife sheath that was next to Madison Mogen's body. And he's talking about CODIS and STR identification. It says the DNA sample obtained from the knife sheath was determined to be significantly less than what the FBI required to make a forensic match. Okay, so... Okay, but is that the original one that we already know is little bitty? Or did the FBI say, no, don't send me that damn sample. Send us the knife sheath. And the FBI actually swabbed the snap. Because the snap came from freaking somewhere, guys. It's in documentation. It was said in court. It was the only thing that they've ever said to us. And none of the reports say snap. They all say strap. All of them. So I don't know where that disconnect is, but they definitely have some missing information there. Then he talks about how Thompson mentions that nothing of evidence was found in the Pullman office or his apartment and that there was no knife ever recovered. And he says, this doesn't add anything to this. This is a death penalty case. No, he says nothing of evidentiary value was found. Nothing. This is a death penalty case. Yeah, we have one piece of evidence that has all kinds of discrepancies and lost paperwork. That's the only thing that they've got here. And they talk about how the car was seized. There was a bucket of cleaner besides it. Yeah, that car was disgusting. Did you not see it? It was disgusting. Thompson said there was always some degree of crud in certain places in cars, and apparently it was like super clean. Well, we know that he was sort of OCD about stuff. Defendant's car was meticulously cleaned inside, and the state would present to the jury that there was part of the defendant's plan to cover up. Yeah, all this time after. He waited and waited weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks to bother cleaning his car. Meticulously. Like, are you for real? Then it talks about the fact that there was the paper that he wrote about the crime scene stuff mentioned by Thompson. Then he says, the author says, Kohberger's pre-doctoral degrees were in psychology. When they found his car, they found empty wrappers, a Band-Aid, empty water bottles, miscellaneous receipts, like including one from like 2016 from an iPad purchase. Because remember, the car was given to him by his mom. So that receipt was like when his mom had the car. Keep that in mind. Spare change and the hotel room card holder from when he drove across the country with his dad. That's all that was in there. And we do have those inventory reports. We got all that information. It's on like a separate file. So then it has the closing thing, and then it says that Thompson takes a seat. Let's see if he gives us any other information about this stuff. And then it shows how the guilty counts were coming out. Says the defendant understands. Checklist of formalities. Okay, then he says, here in this moment, the end becomes our beginning. Yeah, because that's where all the freaking information started coming out. Okay, the world actually knows after 2.5 years of investigation comes down to a few undisputed facts. On the 3rd floor, Kaylee Goncalves was beaten, smothered, and slashed with Maddie Mogen cuddled beside her, posed as if napping. On the 2nd floor, Xana was found spread eagle in a sprawl of coat hangers and shoes with her boyfriend, life taken, in bed just a few feet away. What the world does not know yet is that Kohberger's guilty plea may have negligently whitewashed one of the great travesties of modern jurisprudence. In lieu of a trial, no one will ever know how a lone assassin with no ties to any of the victims entered the house on King Road in the middle of the night, committed 4 in and around 4 minutes, and escaped without a trace. What were his motives? Who was the target? Why didn't he take the lives of the other 2? No shit. No shit. Mm-mm. Well, that's the end of the prologue. See, this is like 34 pages, but it goes into chapter 1 right here. So I'm probably just going to like stop here. Because I feel like we just digested a lot. We just digested a lot from a man that has seen a lot. So I think I'll just look through the rest of it and maybe put like a little short out or something about what else is in there. What are the guilters going to say to this shit? What are the Goncalveses going to say? What's that lunatic attorney from New York that they've got kissing their ass going to say? What are all these people going to say? What's Como going to say? What's Jesse Weber going to say? What's Ashley Banfield going to say? What's Brian Ensign going to say? Is he going to give a shit? Is he? Is someone on mainstream finally going to give a shit? Like, this is crazy. What do you mean? Ethan had hair in his freaking hand and it was labeled as debris and nothing further happened. How do the Chapins know that information? Because there's no way that they don't. How do they know that information and sit there the way that they sit there? Going by twins now and not really giving a shit about anything except for the attention that they can get. While they sit there and talk about people like me and you who are actually out here giving a shit, putting money into getting evidence released. You're welcome. You know, because they complained this whole time that they never got anything, that nobody was giving them information. Well, when we pay for it, they sure the hell get it. You're welcome. For those of you that actually give a shit, because some of the family members seem to not. They only care about their next Crime Con appearance and what they can do. While again, talking shit about me and you that make that kind of situation for them even possible. The hypocrisy, just to have a little bit of spotlight, is crazy. What are they going to say? What are you going to lie about next, Christy? What are you going to come out and try to throw off to the side now, Steve? Oh, they make me so sick. They make me so damn sick. They make me sick. I hope that, actually, I don't even have to say I hope, I know that the Kohbergers know that this book is coming out. So maybe this being something that will probably get mainstream attention for a little while when it does come out, coming from somebody who's claiming to have seen so much extra stuff. Like, I don't understand how at this point the families on both sides like aren't working together at this point. Like, how can you not see enough of the issues? Like, this is crazy. It is unbelievable how much information this man was able to look at. I'm trying to find the number again. Right here. 59,000 files containing more than 200,000 largely unredacted exhibits. Here is the link right here. You don't even have to be logged into freaking Amazon to click it and read it. I mean, damn. Like, none of this is okay. Like, I know, like, at the beginning, I was like, damn, like, this is crazy. It's not like, feels like validation because of all the questions that we've been asking. But now I'm just pissed. Like, the little bit of like, hell yeah. Like, I knew I was asking the right questions. I know that something is wrong here. This tells me that we were right to ask these questions is basically all out the window. Because we didn't want to be right. That's what so many of these fucking assholes out here don't understand, is that we have been out here doing this, hoping that we were wrong. We're not sitting out here wasting, according to them, effort, energy, our freaking sanity to see what the hell's actually factually going on in this case for funsies. Something about this grabbed onto us, the way that cases grab onto you. You know what else I haven't been able to let go of? The Athena Strand case. I've been listening to so much shit about that case over the past week and a half or so. It's been hard to sleep. It's been hard to like think a lot about a lot of stuff because there's some sick shit coming out about that case. I did like a little just reaction video of like the stuff that I've heard. And I'll put it out before court comes back on Wednesday. But like that case has been emotionally sort of like taking over my thoughts over the past few days. Nowhere near like this one. But that's also like a child. Like, god damn. But this is insane. Like, this is... What's going to happen now? Like, this information comes out, and again, this is just a little compared to what this man knows, what this man has seen. So what's it going to take for something else to happen? What's it going to take for something else to happen? I guess we just have to wait and see, because I don't even have the slightest inkling. I don't know anything about that kind of stuff. I just don't know how we have no evidence. Let's be serious. And we are still where we are. How is this fair to Kaylee or Maddie or Xana or Ethan, that so much about what actually happened to them is being hidden, and some of their freaking parents are helping them hide it? Okay. I'm gonna get off of here now. We have stuff. I'm gonna be posting stuff all week. I've been trying to be more consistent. As you guys can tell, I've been trying to post at least like twice a day. Not yesterday, but I've been trying to post twice a day, be more consistent so that we can get more caught up with stuff. On top of, we've been talking about other cases. We've been trying to get a bunch of other cases updated, and there's things. So there's also the David and Celeste Rivas Hernandez situation. I swear on everything, if they let that dude walk out tomorrow, because y'all know, like, he was arrested and there's nothing filed, right? Like, they're bringing everything to the DA on Monday. So after all this bullshit and everything that the whole world found out about this loser when it comes to her, the pretend Celeste that walked around and went by CC when the real Celeste was in the room, him cleaning her bloody shoes, singing about her murder, all the things, the grand juries, all the stuff, and there's not even charges filed. They picked him up. He could walk out tomorrow. He could walk out tomorrow. Disgusting. My God. Okay. Hey there, Michelle. Thank you for being a member for 4 months. Hey, Victorine. How are you doing? Thank you for being here for so long. Thank you, Wasp, for the gifted memberships. Congrats to those who got those. Thank you for the $3.99. No, Finn, I appreciate that. Becca, Joe Mom, thank you for the gifted memberships. Yeah, thank you for the $1.99. No, just showing it like a little bit, just so I can like show the reference is okay. I just can't sit there and like read it verbatim. Like, I can't have the book like open and like read the whole thing. It just has to be the way that we were doing it before. Like, I'm gonna have to read it ahead of time, highlight what's important. Like, I don't even think I showed the pages on the James Patterson book unless I like just like turned it around and showed you like where I highlighted it. That's basically where it's gonna be, like this one. Hey, JLL, do you think this guy has seen any of the FBI stuff? I'm going to assume so, based off of the way that he just described the information that he was given, because the majority of the experts were feds. Well, maybe, I don't know. I guess he would have seen whatever the defense maybe had access to, because these are defense experts that he got the information from, all the files from, right? That's how it read. So he's seeing all the actual like evidence pools. He's seeing the actual, what do you call it? Like forensic download of Kohberger's contents. He's seeing what Celebrite pulled from the devices, Kohberger's and the victims, and I guess and Dylan and Bethany's too. I guess maybe even Jack's, possibly, if Celebrite even had anything to do with that. I don't know if they did anything with that information. 59,000 files, over 200,000 largely unredacted exhibits, including autopsy photos. He has to have proof of the things that he's coming out here and claiming. So for him to say that it says that the hair that was in Ethan's hand was labeled as debris and only tested past a certain point for color and length, and then nothing else was done, like, he has to have the proof of that. And he's going to know. I mean, he has to know that it, like, people are going to ask him for that. So let's see what he provides. Let's see what he shows, because he's gonna have to provide some sort of proof that he does have information that is not public. Labeled as debris. So now I'm wondering if the hair that was on the floor at the wall was that person's, or was it Ethan's? Do we know? I can't remember if the report said if it was Ethan's or not. I just know that we saw photos of it. Some hair that was on the floor where the wall met the bed, where it was like a pool of blood, and then there's hair. Okay. I'm gonna get off of here. No, because I don't know which photo it is, and I'm not opening all of those and going through every single one of them. I mean, you can go to the live where we went over it, go to the transcript and type in hair, and it should take you right to the part of the video where we saw it. And then it should show you at the top of that, like the page number for it. But I don't want to go through all those photos tonight. But I gave y'all the link to the Amazon page where y'all can go and look at this yourselves. Again, I'm not logged in, and it's letting me look at it. So it should do the same for you guys. But yeah, if you just go to that video, it should have it. Plus, those photos are still, no. Are those the ones that they took down? So those are no longer available on the ISP site because those are the ones that had Xana's photo in it. But they are in the Google Drive. Oh, shit. Now I'm probably going to go ahead and just open it. Hold on. Idaho State Police. So many damn folders. Photo drops. Which one is this one? No. That's 922. That's not it either. Here it is. Hold on, I gotta re-download it from the drive. Now it's a big file. I'll give you all this folder right here. It's a big file, and Google Drive can only scan files up to a certain size for viruses, but there's no freaking virus on it. It came straight from the ISP website on January 20th when they released and got put straight up on Google Drive. It just can't do it. So now I'm re-downloading it so I can open it. But here's the link to the Google Drive where all of those are. And it's not where like I have to approve it. It's an open link. It's taken a while to download because it's such a big file. Yeah, but I just feel like he's going to argue with them. That's my problem. Like, is Steve going to man up finally and finally come out here and admit that all of these issues are actual issues? Or is he going to keep calling everybody who has a freaking question the same way that he does crazy? Because he seems to be the only one that's allowed to say that the state sucks and didn't prove anything. Well, then calling us all kinds of crazy shit because we have questions. Telling us not to read the documents. So I'm really curious of how the Goncalveses are going to take this guy and what he has to say, considering the fact that he has seen so much more than they ever will. No matter how much they lie about what they saw. Okay, let me see. I also have an index. Let me see if I have an index to make it faster. Photo list. Xana. Okay. Hold on, it's still opening. Okay. Yeah, the last time that we opened these is when we listened to one of the interviews about how Ethan likes that Burnett's vodka. And that was the last time that we looked at these. Okay, hold on. Let me move this way. This is the bottom. Hold on. What's the index tell me? Under bed. Ethan bed wall 955. Okay. Okay. So trigger warning for those who might not have seen these yet. There's a lot of blood. It definitely tells a story. That's for sure. Okay. Hold on. I got to get to where they've like moved the bed away from the wall. See, that's Ethan's phone. See how it looks like it was stabbed right here. Oh, hold on. I don't want that damn picture of Xana to show. So I'll pop it back up on the screen in a second when I find it. And also, don't forget there's blood on the back of her door. It's not just like the hallway. Okay, here it is. Number 1045. It's like down in here, I think. Did they cover it? I think it's like right in here. No, I feel like there was another one that had less redactions on it. Hold on. It was like after they... Because like they don't have them like dated really, but you can tell when it's like after the first day and like they've gone back. Because like they have one like specifically that's not redacted, like doesn't have a box on it, and you can see the hair. We talked about it during the live. Yeah, it's like along this wall. Like this way. See the blood on the back of the door? The back of the door, like it was closed. Yeah, come on. So much of this like circular thing. It is interesting the way that it is shaped. You can see the hairs in it too. See the hole in the bed? I think there's some hair right here. This isn't what I was looking at though. You'll see that right there. That looks like one piece. But that's not the wall that I was talking about. Yeah, look, here's some hair like actually in the wall. Like on the wall itself. But no, there was some on the ground. I mean, it actually sort of looked like there was like a piece of skin. Like I remember us talking about it because somebody like kind of warned me. So we were trying not to show any of the body parts like at all, especially like with Xana. And someone else had seen it first in our live going over it before we got to that page, and they had told me about it in the chat. And whenever I looked, I was like, shit. It did look like there was like a piece of skin. Oh, okay. 1649. I knew we weren't crazy. There it is. There it is, yeah. 1649. 1649. So yeah. It'd be highly unlikely that he would have his own hair in his hand. You know? It's sick. Like the feeling again of knowing that we've been asking all the right questions. That doesn't make this any better. That makes it worse. This makes it worse for me. Like this is so sick. This is so sick. The black peeling stuff is dry blood. Yeah, it's short hair. It's short. It maybe is like that long. It's like a curl, like a wave. I mean, it could be Ethan's. We don't know how bad, like he might have chunks missing. We don't really know. So that could have been Ethan's. But again, he would not have had a clump of his own hair in his hand. You know what I mean? That's my point right there. It makes it freaking worse. It makes it so much worse. Okay, I'm gonna get off of here. I cannot wait to hear what this guy has to say. I'm gonna listen to all of them. No matter what channel he goes and talks to, I'm gonna listen to what he has to say. We're gonna talk about everything. But I really sincerely hope that he produces something physical. I know that he's not gonna come out and just share his entire case file. But I hope that he produces pieces in these interviews that he's doing so that it gives some validity to what he's saying, because this is heavy as hell. Oh, man. Okay. I mean, I'm going to have no choice. I'm going to be in the background. I'm not going to be chatting. I'm going to be listening and taking notes in the background. Y'all won't even know I am there. I promise you. You won't even know that I am there. It's just a lot, man. Okay. Y'all have a beautiful freaking night. As much as you can. Ugh. Like, this is like, I'm so mad. I'm so mad. Okay. You're welcome. Thank you for the 199. I just didn't know how long it was going to take to find it, but Crazy Cutie found it fast. So thank you for that. Oh, well, thank you. That was yesterday. Yeah, I turned 38. Yeah, I heard that one too. Yeah, that's the thing. I need to see the times for that. Because I don't think the girls, the custody queens, have put their video timing out yet for when they're going to premiere it. But their plan is to premiere it on the 28th. So, I mean, it's kind of odd if two of them are premiering on the 28th. I mean, maybe not. It's just depending on the people. I mean, you do your own schedule. It's not a big deal. But I need to see the times. I mean, regardless, I'm going to watch them both. I have to. Because damn. I think Brady has them on the 29th. Brady has them on the 29th. Custody Queens are posting their interview with him on the 28th as a premiere. So they're going to talk to him ahead of time. The same way that I'm talking to them on the 24th. But we don't know like what day it's going to come out yet. So I don't know. Is Advocate doing the same? Is Advocates an open panel? So someone else said Birdie's having him on the 27th. I thought it was going to be the 29th. Regardless, I'm watching him. I have to. I have to see what he says. Oh, God. That's the... I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. I can only say so much about people so many times. So... it is what it is on that one. Thank you for the 10, Wisteria, and thank you for the happy birthday wishes, and thank you for the happy birthday wishes, you guys. I appreciate that. It was a good little relaxing day. Well, plans changed because it started raining, which sucks because we had planned to be outside most of the day and grill kebabs and stuff outside. And I checked the weather ahead of time because I purchased everything ahead of time, including the charcoal and everything. And it was supposed to just be partly cloudy. And then it was raining. So that plan went out the window, but I compromised and ended up eating a seafood boil in my bed and watching Dracula. Had to do something. My parade was literally rained on. But it's whatever. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for the happy birthday wishes and for being in here too for this. Holy shit, this book is going to be a wild ride. Wild ride. Oh, thank you for the 10. My scream name. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Weather is a jerk. Bipolar ass weather, especially here in Texas. All right, you guys. I will see y'all tomorrow about something. We'll do something. There's so much to do. We'll do something. Y'all have a beautiful night. Thank you for being in here with me. We'll be talking about a lot, so get ready. Try to empty some room in there because we're about to be filling it up some more. I'm going to go ahead and roll this out.
Please do not forget to leave a like on your way out and subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed already.
All right, you guys. See y'all.